Instead, Democratic delegates threw most of their support, 54% versus Feinstein's 37%, to challenger Kevin de León, a Los Angeles politician 33 years her junior with precisely none of her experience on the national stage. The result wasn't a total shock, though de Leon's share of the vote was bigger than expected. California's Democratic delegates tend to be progressive activists, and progressive activists, who've badmouthed Feinstein's bipartisan instincts and relatively hawkish foreign policy views for years, have become especially eager to unseat her since last August, when she refused to call for President Trump's impeachment, arguing instead that he can be a good president if he can learn and change. Also worth noting is the fact that de León didn't secure his party's endorsement either. For that, he would have needed 60% of the vote. That night, the night of November 8, I was stunned, just like so many of my fellow Democrats, de León told Pulse News shortly before Trump's inauguration. But the next morning I got up and got to work. 15 months later, de León can credibly claim that he's done as much as any legislator in the country to oppose the president, and, of course, that's exactly the claim he's making on the campaign trail. My name is Kevin de León, and I am the president of the most progressive legislative house in America, he said at the start of Saturday's convention speech. We carved it in stone, no matter the place of your birth or the hue of your skin, you can live in California in safety, dignity and, yes, sanctuary. Much of the rest of de León's address was dedicated to drawing what political consultants like to call contrasts with his primary opponent. He didn't pull his punches. Feinstein, 84, is currently the oldest sitting U.S. senator. If re-elected, she will be 91 when her next term concludes. Twice de León mentioned congressional seniority, and the implication was lost on no one. De León then rattled off all of the insufficiently progressive things Feinstein has done, and that he would never do. I would never oppose card check, and will never vote for school vouchers. I would never vote to allow federal agents to spy on American citizens without warrants. I would never vote to prosecute 13-year-olds as adults. I would never call our country the welfare system for Mexico. I would never vote for two different wars lasting 17 years, costing countless American lives and more than $5 trillion. And, lest anyone forget, de León made sure to mock Feinstein's gentle comments about Trump. In your state Senate, Democrats act like Democrats, he said. We demand passion, not patience. We speak truth to power, and we've never been fooled into believing Donald Trump can be a good president. Even beyond the convention hall in San Diego, de León has had some success with this line of attack. Two of the state's most influential unions, the CEU and the California Nurses Association, previously endorsed his insurgent bid. As God is my witness, I had no intention of running for U.S. Senate at that moment, de León said of the day Feinstein made her remarks about Trump. I'm the youngest child of a single immigrant mother who had a third-grade education. I never pined or aspired to be a politician. It's never been part of my DNA. But I made a decision to send out a press release criticizing her that day, and I cannot tell you how many phone calls, how many texts I got, even from members of Congress, who always wanted to say this but were always afraid. I was like, you're afraid to criticize the obvious. That's stunning to me. And that's why I made the decision that we need change, that we need a new voice. Not of the past, but of the present and the future. The question now is whether de León can convince California. He may be more in tune with the zeitgeist than Feinstein. He may even be more in tune with the most active California Democrats, who have embraced their new role as Trump's top antagonists. But ultimately de León's candidacy could prove to be a case study in the limitations of resistance politics, rather than its power. Feinstein is formidable, despite her deviations from current liberal orthodoxy. In an ordinary state, de León might have a shot at snatching his party's nomination away from a moderate incumbent by running to her left in the primary. But California has a nonpartisan primary system, which means the top two finishers, likely Feinstein and de León, will advance to the general election regardless of which of the two gets more votes on June 5. After that, moderation tends to be a plus, not a minus. Meanwhile, Feinstein has rustled up $13 million for her re-election. De León has raised $434,000. The latest statewide poll shows her ahead by 29 percentage points, 46% to 17%, up from 24 points in November. De León is fighting like mad to raise his profile, and more cash. But so far, he has only slipped further behind. I think what we're beginning to see is the putting together of a case of obstruction of justice, she said in December. Whether such boldness is a political gambit meant to neutralize de León is difficult to say. But either way, it serves to remind Californians that seniority has its advantages. To say you would come in as a rookie and be more forceful against Donald Trump than Dianne Feinstein means people are going to care about what the hell you say, because what you do will be marginal, Bill Carrick, Feinstein's longtime strategist, tells News Pulse News. You want to have an influential United States Senator? Dianne Feinstein is the ranking member on the judiciary, where she can actually do something to stop these judges who are outside the mainstream. On the Intelligence Committee, she's a senior member investigating President Trump, particularly on Russian interference. And on the Judiciary Committee she's investigating obstruction of justice. It's campaign rhetoric versus reality. And it's pretty preposterous.